Hejsan! Jag heter Joel, jag ska presentera ett projekt lite kort som vi precis har kört igång här på Videum. Det är ett projekt som Videum står bakom tillsammans med Omnifinity, Företagsfabriken och Region Kronoberg. Det vi vill göra är att vi vill bygga en unik plattform och miljö för virtuell teknik, alltså Virtual Reality. Och alltså rent fysiskt det vi ska göra här är att vi ska bygga ett rum nere i källaren borta på Delta. Och där ska vi använda all befintlig virtuell teknik tillsammans med Omnifinitys golv. Och dit vill vi att folk ska kunna komma och upptäcka och lära den här tekniken. Och förhoppningsvis också kunna utveckla och tillämpa den då, på de problemen som finns. Så lite båda delar där. Men rent tekniskt och mer detaljerat ska Richard få köra sin grej medan vi kör igång en film här.
Hello. I think I'm going to speak English. It's my best language. Richard Guilford from Omnifinity. About a year ago, just to give you a quick thing, Företagsfabriken, Videum and Omnifinity, we discussed, wouldn't it be really cool in this science park that we've got here in Växjö to kind of bring something here that was really on the edge of future? So we discussed about different technologies we could bring. And here is our product. Here is our Omni deck. It was designed for military in the beginning, but we found other uses for it. Who here has tried virtual reality? Oh, quite a few of you. Biggest problem with virtual reality is it's been around in a lot of cases since the 80s, but it's only started to get a bit of speed now the cost has been driven down. There's different types of virtual reality, just quickly. There's the sitting kind of virtual reality, yeah, where you sit there and you'll use your keyboard and mouse. It's a bit like playing computer games on a massive screen. It's not really very immersive. So then there's the next kind of virtual reality, which is known as standing, which is when you're stand. The problem with these two is if you do anything like you're moving around, you will feel sick because you're not moving. The next type of virtual reality, which is kind of coming in, the new technique, is room-based virtual reality, where you have some sensors in a fixed space, so that I can't walk into the table. There's different things, but the problem is that if I want to go and take a walk out there, I run into the table. Sorry, or walk into the wall. You see the problem? So what we devised is an enormous platform. It's 6 meters in diameter. I advise you if you're building something that big, it really, really is that big. And why is it that big? That is because we wish to take away the complete boundaries from virtual reality and mix it with reality. You see, not only are we going to walk or run, we're going to crawl and we're going to jump and we're going to drop in the microphone and we're going to do lots of things. Yes, we're a bit mad. But here's the thing, with all this great technology, and I can see a few of us may be of a certain age, we remember mainframes and the computer. Do you remember these phrases? We had the computer. And you got time on the computer. Well, virtual reality is a bit like that. The latest headsets cost about 10,000 crowns to get a PC on top of that, another 30,000 crowns. If you really want to get it right. You want to buy an Omni deck? A couple of million crowns. But we believed in this project so much with Region Kronoberg, Videum, Företagsfabriken. We decided, hey, we're going to bring all this technology here. What do we want to do with it? In essence, we don't really have that much of a plan, as all good plans don't. What we want to do is we want to give the ability for people to move around, to walk around, to experience things. The new games, the new challenges, we talked about big data. If anyone has ever looked into, and I guess the biggest data that I can imagine that I've worked with is like Google Analytics. When you look at your web traffic, who here has used Google Analytics? Who here understands it? That's the problem with big data as a phrase. Great. It's like Excel. It's just boring as hell. Yeah, you might get fancy graphs, you might get more information, but it's not immersive. And I think that the technology of virtual reality, yes, it helps visualizations. Yes, it helps architects. Yes, it helps town planners. Yes, it's really cool to play computer games on. Yes, it helps the military. But that's all that's in our little box, you know, that's all we can see. So in this region, we have an open innovation centre. And I really do mean it as an open innovation centre. It will open a soft launch from June, and it will open properly after summer. Although if you're very nice, you might have access in between that. And that's what we want to do. So we've no idea what we want to do with it. So it's up to you guys here, really. Come with your weird ideas. Speak to your friends. Speak to people. If you know anyone that is got some kind of thing that you think, hey, virtual reality could be cool for that, well, come down. Come and work with us and try and find out the new solutions. This is the only place on the planet that has this kind of innovation centre. I really mean this is an exclusive. There is a couple of other OmniDecks around, but they're mainly for show, and they're mainly for, they're kind of locked in to different companies or militaries. So this really is a world's first, and it would be a real shame if you didn't use the opportunity. Yul here is the project leader, and he, for a year at least, so he is the main man to contact. Omnifinity, obviously it's our technology, but we're kind of working together with Videum and the rest of the partners to really kind of kick this off. Any questions? Who wants to try it? Yeah, exactly. It's very cool. Thank you very much.
Is that Van Gogh?
Yes. So this actually, that video you just saw was actually was a student project. It was a competition to. I'll play it again. It was an Oculus competition, and this guy took the Night Cafe series of paintings by Van Gogh and actually built a virtual world. So this is based in the Unity game engine. Something very, very simple. This guy took a couple of weeks to build this, and it's amazing. It's amazing to walk around this. The other thing you can't really understand is, I think if you look, you've got the piano there. So the piano is in another room, yeah? So what's really freaky is that when you're walking around, the sound source is in a different room, and it freaks you out. It really freaks you out for a minute, because you can't kind of work out where it is. And that's Van Gogh himself. But we focus again on taking away the controllers. We just focus on using your body instead. It's what we're good for.
I do have a question, actually. Anytime I've been talking with people about using virtual reality in urban planning, I've met a lot of comments like, yeah, well, it takes so much time to render all those existing buildings and make it possible to walk around in between them. And the question I have is simply this: will this, or is this in any way a simplifying factor in doing those kinds of things, including creating the environment?
There is some amazing technology that allows you really simple to open up CAD Viewer. I mean, we all know Google Street View. They've been capturing a lot of data, as we were talking about, a lot of data for a lot of years, yeah? Why don't we just skin CAD models with Google Street View data? Hey, if anyone can do that, that would be a really good idea, and probably you'll be bought by Google as well. But you're right, we're a bit ahead. Technology goes, the hardware comes, and then the software comes, and then it changes. We work together with a British project, which has actually modelled up the whole of Milton Keynes, which is a very weird, boring place, but it's Milton Keynes. So you can actually walk around it. So they're doing user trials for driverless car simulators. The military do have a lot of places rendered up, but they won't let us use that stuff. I have seen what Denver has. I have been here locally. They have basic kind of CAD grids in a way, but it is a bit boring because they're not rendered. But hey, that's the challenge we've got. That's the next challenge. What is very weird when you walk in VR is the scale. If any of you have built a house or been involved in any form of building project, it never quite looks how it does when it's finished. You know, the doors look smaller, and this bathroom looks enormous, and you get in it and you're like, well, it wasn't that big. So that's one thing. To conclude, I can say that your emotional connection with a digital visualization, God, that sounded really, sounds like I'm giving a lecture here. When you draw something, you have an emotional connection with it. When you draw something in CAD, you have an emotional connection with it. You understand it a bit more. If everyone's built an IKEA kitchen and they got the little tool and you can put out all the doors and everything like that, you have a bit more, oh, that's kind of what it looks like. VR, standing there or sitting there, yes. I'm like, wow. Walking around, you're there. So much so that when we built Milton Keynes the first time, when I walked around it, it took me about 6 or 7 minutes, and then I got scared. Because there was no cars, there was no buildings. I was waiting for the zombies to come out. And in fact, there is a video on YouTube, and if you get to a certain point, I don't know if anyone's seen the movie 28 Days Later. It's a very, I wouldn't really watch the whole film if you're not into zombie apocalypse London, but the first 5 minutes, he wakes up in a hospital, and he walks out of the hospital in London, and London is empty. And it is that really weird thing. So these emotional connections that I feel, they're problems for games, they're problems for scenarios. So, but it does help a lot. Our CTO has developed his house in Villevik using VR. He has amazing stories about speaking to plumbers and builders, about going, no, that's not what I meant. Yeah, well, that's what it says here. No, put these on. Whoa. Oh, yeah. It's not like that, is it? The stairs were there. Yep, like the... oh, yeah. So there is... I think a lot of industries will change because of this. Any more? But come and use it. Come and at least experience it. If you've got no use for it, that's fine, but you've got to come and experience it. Thank you.
Sorry about your desk.
Oh, it's okay.